Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So excited to show you this soft, pretty green smoky glam with a little bit of glaze on the skin. Stay tuned. My model Paulina has amazing skin, so we're just gonna start by prepping her skin with some moisturizer with one of my faves. It is Kiehl's facial moisturizer, that one that comes in a tube. And we're gonna bring that down onto her neck and make sure that the skin is extremely hydrated. Now moving along, using one of my faves, and so old school, it is a MAC paint pot in the color Soft Ochre. I'm using a Real Technique, I think it's a foundation brush, and I like it because it dispenses a lot of product at one time and it's really easy to blend. Now using a damp beauty blender, I'll be applying some sheer foundation. The one that I used is NARS Sheer Glow in the shade Barcelona, and we want to make sure that this is super well blended. This is just to go ahead and cancel out any whiteness on the Soft Ochre just because it was a bit lighter than she is. And we want to make sure that it's very well blended because we want to avoid any type of cakiness. To set this, I'll be using an RCMA No Color Translucent Powder on a pretty dense, fluffy brush. Any brush will do, and just to go ahead and set that and take off any of the excess powder. Now, I'll be using a Tom Ford quad palette that unfortunately is not available no longer. But I think that you could possibly get it on eBay. Either way, it is called Sahara Haze. It's beautiful because it has a few golds and a whole bunch of nice, undertones of greens and emeralds. So the shade that I'll be using is, I want to say, the second lightest shade on the quad, and I am using a dense Morphe blending brush. I'm applying this to the crease, and you're going to see a lot of blending throughout this because A, it is a shimmery shade and I want it to be dispensed directly where I want it. I don't want it to bleed out from that area. So here what I'm doing is just coming back with a clean blending brush and just blending away. It's really important to, at least for this look on Paulina, I want to blend upwards, and you're going to see that a lot on this video, that I'm just going to go in a few times with a clean blending brush, go upwards with it, apply again, reapply, and blend some more. Now reapplying the same shade, I'm just gonna go ahead and apply it to the inner tear duct area and just lightly apply it. I'm using a blending brush just so it dispenses very lightly. I don't want to go ahead and pack it on too much. Now using a flat MAC brush, I'm so sorry, I do not remember. It's just an old school brush, but either way, any packing brush will do, and I'm using the same shade with a tad bit of the darkest shade. I kind of mixed them both a little bit together, and I am just packing that onto the outer corners and bringing it upwards to give her that elongated eye feel. Now to define her lash line, I will be using another favorite, which is the Stila Waterproof Black Eyeliner. I like this a lot because it's still smudgeable and it is completely waterproof. So using a, I want to say that's a Smashbox. Yes, it is. It's a Smashbox smudger. I went ahead and blended that out. So reapplying a little bit of the Stila, smudging again, reapplying a few times just so I get that smoked out effect. And I'm slightly winging it a little bit into the corners. Now using an artist angled brush. Yes, I got this at Michael's. I'm using a black eyeshadow very lightly just to define that wing. I am a sucker for a soft, smoky wing, so you will see that I'm going back and forth a few times just to further smoke out that wing a bit. And now I am highlighting a little bit of her brow bone using the lightest shade on the palette, which has some gold reflexes, but very lightly, just so it looks very well blended. Now using a medium taupe shade, I am gonna go ahead and further define her crease and dragging it outwards towards the wing to give that elongated feel. It is extremely important to make sure that when you're blending this on the crease, you stay only in the crease, so small strokes when blending. Now I am using another artist tool. Yes, this is a large stippling artist tool, and I like this brush just to go ahead and make sure everything is super well blended. Now going back a few more times with that eyeliner just to further darken that area. Very important to make sure you smudge it out. I mean, you could definitely do a sharp wing on this look as well, but I am a huge fan of the smoky wing, so I'm doing this a few times, coming back in, adding a little bit darker shadow, but again, liner, dragging it a few times until I get the desired smoke effect that I want. Now using a makeup wipe, I will be cleaning off a little bit of the excess fallout because this is a shimmery shadow. I kind of figured that was gonna happen regardless. Super important, I say this to all my clients, you have to curl your lashes. In this case, Paulina did them herself, and now I'm giving her a good coat of mascara with my fave, which is L'Oreal Voluminous in Carbon Black, the waterproof formula. I always say take your time with mascara, make sure that you start at the root, shake it out a little bit, drag it out further, because although even if you're gonna use falsies right on top, I just think it looks much better and it just gives a much more full defined look to the eye. Using some small demi wispies, I will go ahead and apply these with my favorite, which is the House of Lash adhesive. It's absolutely amazing because there's no downtime on it and it dries so fast. It's amazing. Now, while her lashes dry, I'll go ahead and prep her skin further, and I am using a new favorite of mine, which is the Tatcha primer. This stuff is so good, and I'm making sure I'm just dispensing that everywhere using a MAC stippling foundation brush. Now to apply her foundation, I am using a damp Real Technique beauty sponge. This is very similar to the Beauty Blender, but it's a bit more economic. And the way that I go ahead and I apply this product is I like to push it in, as you can see. So I just push, 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 and come back and blend some more. When it comes to foundation, I don't think you can over blend unless you're doing contour. In this case, how this is her shade, and she has very, very good skin. She doesn't need much foundation. So with a beauty blender or a beauty sponge that's damp, you will get the most coverage yet with the most sheer application possible. Now to go ahead and highlight her face, I will be using another fave, which is NARS Creamy Concealer. In this shade, I will be using a mixture of ginger and creamy custard, just because I want it to be highlighted, but not too dramatic. To blend this product out, I am using the same Beauty Blender Real Technique sponge. I really like it because it's like a diamond shape, so as you can see, it just gets in those little hard to reach corners. Super simple. To bring some light back, we'll go ahead and highlight a bit further. I am using Shape Tape in another favorite of mine, which is Light Medium Honey. And I'm gonna go ahead and dispense this very precisely and blend it very precisely. You don't wanna drag it out to the other sides of the concealer. Now to bring in some depth, I'll be using another favorite, which is a Bobbi Brown foundation stick in the shade Almond. To the exterior of her face, this is not so much as a contour versus it more being a bronzing effect. I'm blending it out with the same sponge. I like to use the back end, which is the same end that I use for the foundation, just because I feel like it has an excessive amount probably still behind on the foundation, which makes it blend a lot more natural. Super important also, side note, is to drag that into the hairline, just so you do not have a separation of bronzing to the hairline. I feel like that looks a bit tacky, so I like to just drag it right into the hairline. And that also goes as well to the jawline. If you do bronzer on the jawline, you want to make sure you drag that onto the ears as well. And blend, further blend. You cannot over blend. So with this Real Technique brush, what I'm doing is, well, not brush, I'm sorry, the Real Technique sponge, I am just pushing everything into place. Now using a Laura Mercier translucent powder on a Real Technique stippling brush, I am just setting her under eye area. What I like to do is usually I will set with some translucent powder just to the highest points of the face, and 9 out of 10 times that's usually where you use the lightest shade of concealer. Now using another favorite, I will be using the Cover FX highlighting drops. This stuff is so amazing. And I'm using it again once on the same beauty blender or beauty sponge from Real Techniques, whatever. And I'm doing it to the highest points of the face. To set those Cover FX drops, I am using another favorite, which is a Dior highlighting powder on a Smashbox fan brush. Fun fact, I've had this brush for over 15 years. Now Paulina has just recently done the microblading on her brows, so all we did was set with some tinted brow gel. Now using a natural shade of brown, I'm going to go ahead and define her lip just a bit. Now with this look, I wanted the eyes to be the most dramatic look, so I chose a very light shade onto the lip. Added a little bit of gloss, of course, and adding a bit of glow onto her body as well. Now to ensure that the look is extremely glowy, I am using some setting spray. This is one of my faves, which is from Tarte, and it has a nice amount of glycerin count on there, so it's gonna definitely bring out the glow. So this pretty much wraps up this tutorial. I had so much fun doing this glam on Paulina. Paulina is awesome. And everything that I used on this tutorial will be on the description links down below. If you guys liked this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I would love to know your feedback as well, so any comments will be super appreciated. And if you do not follow me on my social media, those links will be down below. Once again, thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys on my next tutorial. Ciao!